You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. Let's get into it.
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode on the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. We're up to episode, I actually don't even know what episode we're up to, but we're up to episode 38, I think. Yes, I got the tick. Hell yeah. So welcome to this episode. I'm going to be sharing some spice. I'm going to be breaking down a lie the industry is selling you, and it is keeping you broke. And I have been consuming a lot of content lately saying that you need to be high vibe, or that you need to be selling when you're in a high frequency and you got to increase your frequency. And everyone's talking about this, especially in the conscious entrepreneurial space. And I want to call bullshit. And I feel like so many people are actually staying stuck and being broke and actually self-sabotaging their business results because they're buying into this narrative that they have to be in a certain state or a certain frequency to make money online. And I just want to actually map out how this is going to keep you stuck if you choose to buy into it, and how you can actually give yourself the permission to not have to be always like positive and happy and abundant and still make money in your business. So come along. I'm going to break it down for you. Let's go. So the industry has taught women that humility and humanity is a liability in business. Like the amount of times that I've seen people say, like, you need to make sure you get in a high vibrational state before you jump on a sales calls. You need to make sure that your energy is positive to show up on social media. And the thing that this is teaching women is to spiritually bypass their emotions and to actually dissociate from the human behind the business. And also, you know what's really going to actually self-sabotage your business is this lie, because it's saying, okay, well, if you're not feeling good today, don't show up online. If you're not feeling high vibe today, don't jump on a sales calls. And if you do, that's the reason why you don't close. And I just think that is so exhausting. It is so just it's like it's lazy. Actually, you know what? That's what it is. It's lazy. So this narrative that's being sold right now of you have to be high vibe to sell, the reason why it's bad is because it's shaming your emotional state. It teaches emotional suppression and it's spiritual bypassing, and it disconnects instead of regulates. Because here's the thing. Your nervous system, and someone who leads with like a regulated nervous system is going to make a lot more money in their business compared to someone who is just like, oh, I just need to be high vibe for a minute to jump on the sales calls and then jump off. Now, I'm not to say like jump on a sales call like when you're having a bad day and you're literally like, the last thing I want to do right now is jump on a sales call, and you're fully feeling like the depths of your emotions and grief. Okay, maybe there's a level of discernment to it, but this idea and this narrative is just boxing people in, and I'm just like sick of seeing it. And here's the thing, as a spiritual girly, as a conscious entrepreneur, I understand the 12 universal laws, right? And one of those universal laws is the law of vibration. And naturally, abundance, opportunity, and prosperity, that's a higher frequency, right? That's a higher vibration. You naturally have to be in a higher state for more of that to be mirrored back into your reality. But that doesn't mean that being in the lower states is bad. That just means that you're actually human. It's how you regulate yourself while you're in those lower states, which expands yourself as an integral leader. And I think more people are coming more online these days of who is actually in integrity and who's just putting on a face, or who's just showing a particular side to themselves. And what I see is this narrative of you have to be high vibe, or you have to put yourself in this frequency before you sell, or before you go live, or before you show up on social media. What it's actually doing is it's blocking your income, because you're actually not showing up because you're buying into the narrative. If you're feeling sad, you're like, oh, well, I can't jump online. That element of, oh, well, I can't jump online because I'm feeling sad today, that's the reason why you're not making money. But if you were just to show up online and still show up and share and be authentic and real and original, and actually still create content as the human, more people are going to build connection with you. More people are going to build trust with you. And you just showing up, again, that compounds over time. And that's what builds trust in your brand. That's what builds trust within yourself, to also show yourself that you don't have to be a particular way in order to make sales in your business. The other thing that blocks your income is not your vibration or not your frequency, but it's the delay that you allow. You negotiate with yourself, and you actually negotiate on your goals because you're like, well, I can't do that today. I can't go live because I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. You delay things and negotiate yourself out because you're giving yourself a doorway of this high vibe narrative, and lie is like giving yourself a doorway to the out. And it's creating this stigma that everything has to be in alignment. Everything has to feel right in your body. And I'm genuinely sick of hearing that, it's counterintuitive being a business energetics coach. And I talk about how to channel and create aligned offers. But what I'm seeing in the space is people are using it as an out. They're using this stigma of making everything feel aligned as an easy way to cock block themselves, because they're actually in fear of stepping into discomfort from overriding the old paradigm or the old narrative. But if you actually create a space for you to show up as all of you, I guarantee that's going to make more money than you forcing this state of positivity. And the next thing is it associates sales to emotional perfection. And that over time, I don't know if anyone, the perfectionist in the space, anyone who is a perfectionist knows that it's counterintuitive. Whilst yes, you can create incredible work, but it's also delaying your results. If you want to have quantum leaps in your business, if you want to have quick success, and if you want to build a big business, you need to allow yourself to step away from the perfectionist. And this story and this narrative of having to be high vibe when you sell and when you show up online is literally eating away at your self-trust and your self-belief. And it's creating this, I have to show up in this perfect way in order to make sales. It's associating making money with emotional perfection. And that is, let me tell you, my girl, that is a fast route to burnout, to disconnection. And no one who is successful in their right gets there by disconnecting from their body. Not if you actually want to feel the full extent of your achievements, not if you actually want to feel the full experience of the human that actually gets to achieve all the things. This story is creating so much spiritual bypassing, like it's ridiculous. And I just see it getting more and more prevalent in the industry. And I genuinely just want to be like, yo, this is enough. Stop. It's creating this constant idea that you have to be a particular way, and it's just burning you out. And that's what's going to create so much disconnection, so much overwhelm, so much I'm not good enough energy. But the real thing that's playing out here is that you're creating an out for you showing up. So the truth is, a regulated nervous system is way more attractive to a buyer than a high vibe one. Like I said before, people can see through the things. People can see through the mask and the facades. More people are becoming more tapped in and can actually see through the veils. What your job is to, yes, of course, we want to leverage the law of vibration. We want to use that in our advantage to be an attractor, be a magnet to our success. But when it comes to this toxic spirituality or this toxic positivity, that's when it becomes really detrimental, because what you're doing is you're outweighing a regulated nervous system. And that's only going to get you so far too, because when there's times where there's so much going on in your life and things will happen, like business, it tests you. Business is the most spiritual evolution, like the most spiritual journey you can ever do, because it fully forces you to connect into yourself at the deepest level, and it's personal development on crack. And this is another route to literally out yourself from actually accessing what's deep within you. And for myself, I have realized, like, because I bought into this narrative, I absolutely bought into this narrative. And when I first started in this space, I remember like I would be using a sales script, and it was like there was a whole chunk and a whole section at the beginning of the sales script that was literally just to prime you to get into this energetic state. And whilst that's important when you're learning how to do sales calls, it also just created this like, oh shit, like I didn't make the sale because maybe I wasn't happy enough, or I wasn't like high vibe and high energy. And so it creates emotional shaming, and that spiral is what's going to actually on the undercurrent do more damage to your personal brand and to your self-belief than showing up even if you're not fully the highest vibe version of yourself. So when we think about the law of vibration, right, which is one of the universal laws, and I've been listening and I've been reading and I've been doing so many things about universal laws lately. I want to learn everything. Like, I'm obsessed with learning about this shit. And of course, the most simple explanation to this is law of vibration. Everything vibrates. A high vibration is the emotions of joy, positivity, abundance, and low vibrations are usually associated to anger, sadness, fear, scarcity, right? That's basically quick one-on-one law of vibration things. And the more that you vibrate a particular threshold or a particular frequency, you're going to have that mirrored back into your life. And this is partially true, but it's also a lazy approach to doing business. And I don't see that as energetics. Energetics isn't just listening to a meditation, getting yourself in a high vibe to then jump on a sales call and then jumping down and being in a low vibrational state. That dysregulation creates so much dysregulation within the body, and it's emotional bypassing disguised as consciousness. People are like, yes, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all the manifestation practices, I'm doing all the high vibe routines, I'm doing my magical scripting, I'm doing all my EFT and my tapping and all of these things, and that's great, and I love this stuff. But when you're relying on that to get you results, it is bypassing, because you're dissociating on a different level on the other side of the spectrum. And what's worse is it actually teaches self-abandonment. Like, these practices done like all the time and people becoming reliant on them actually creates a self-abandonment wound to yourself, because instead of actually honoring your emotions internally and actually honoring and regulating yourself in the uncertainty, in the unknown, in the confusion, or when you're in a times where you're like, this sucks and I'm angry and I'm sad, instead of honoring those parts of you, it's like, okay, well, just put on that mask, that positivity mask, that I've got everything going for me mask, I've got everything under control mask, and it actually disconnects you from yourself. So I want to ask you, where are you buying into this narrative and into this lie and actually shaming yourself for not being positive enough on a sales call? That's doing more damage than you realize. What is going to actually get you to expand your business and to receive more cash flow and to sign more clients and for your reels to grow online and for your content to convert into your DMs? It's not about how vibe you are or how many vibe boosters you do a day and how many meditations that you do a day. It's about a regulated nervous system. Okay, let me explain this. A regulated nervous system that can hold grief has a higher vibration than a dysregulated one forcing positivity. I want you to just listen to that again and let that land. A regulated nervous system that can hold grief has a higher vibration than a dysregulated one forcing positivity. Because think of the energy when you're forcing a state rather than just acknowledging your current state and moving through it. And I want to teach you how to regulate your nervous system, because this just doesn't come into selling and closing people in the DMs and having people buy into your high ticket offers. This comes into how you hold yourself in all elements of your business. As I said before, Business is the most spiritual journey that you can embark on. It is personal development on crack. And the people who achieve high levels of success, they've learned how to regulate their nervous system in the confusion, in the overwhelm, in the uncertainty. And at the beginning of your journey, no one's really talking about that. They're like, just jump on a sales call, make sure you're high vibe, do Tony Robbins, like breathing style, like get yourself into a better state, then make a sale. And if you didn't make a sale, you probably weren't high vibe enough. And your business, like that is not setting your business up for sustainable growth. Like you should be able to have a shit day, lie in bed and want to cry, and your business can still make money. I do that. I have an incredible business that I can be all of my human, and my business isn't reliant on how much I showed up that day. That's a scalable business. That's a high vibe business because I'm regulated in myself and I can be all parts of me and I can express and experience all parts of me as a human. And that doesn't determine the amount of money that I make that month or the amount of money that I make that week. So if you want to learn how to really regulate your nervous system to hold more, because here's the piece, right? When you can regulate your nervous system to hold more cash flow, you'll be able to receive it. And this is something that I teach inside my container, inside my coaching spaces, the collective, which is designed for women who are scaling to their first 6 figures. And I'm going to tell you something. Each milestone in your business requires you to regulate your nervous system to a higher capacity. It requires you to regulate your nervous system to a higher vibration. That doesn't come from just slapping on a vibe booster and just doing a meditation. That comes from nervous system regulation, from actually expanding your energetic capacity to be the woman, to become the woman who actually is regulated in whatever milestone she wants to create. If that's your first 10K month, then I would love to welcome you inside the collective, where you get to shift your business identity, your personal identity, and your brand identity into becoming the woman and the person who just does 6 figures, not from a forced place of this is my frequency and this is my vibration, but from an integrity and integrated embodied place that it just happens because you are just that person. If you're someone who wants to scale to 30K, 50K cash months in their business, you've already hit 6 figures, the same principle applies. There are just different lenses that you get to access and different things that you have to implement into your business to tap into the regulation and the nervous system regulation to receive that amount of cash flow. Every single milestone in your business comes from how you can regulate yourself in receiving and holding that amount of energy in your body. Not by doing the ups and the downs of I'm in this vibration, I'm in this vibration, now I'm up in this vibration. It actually comes from how you hold yourself, how you lead yourself. And the byproduct of a regulated nervous system is how much money you can make. It's not the other way around. The byproduct of a regulated nervous system is how much money you make. So depending on where you are in your journey, if you're an early business entrepreneur and you're looking to scale your personal brand to the 6-figure mark and hit that 10K month, then I would love to invite you into the collective, where we teach you the basics around how to implement this into your business and yourself. And if you're someone who is ready to scale to 30 to 50K cash months, to go to multi 6 figures, to go to 7 figures, you're a woman who already knows this work. Now it's about fine-tuning and implementing the masculine infrastructure in your business for you to move more into your feminine to receive more cash flow and expand and regulate your nervous system in this capacity. You're a woman who belongs inside CEO Table, and this is my high-level mastermind. And I would love to invite you into this space because what we're doing inside CEO Table is unlike any other space that I've seen here in Australia. We have 2 support coaches, and we're leveraging your human design and your astrology to create your brand elements so you can actually fully be all of you and not follow some high vibe practice and frequency, but actually use your genetic DNA to build your business. And then you get to have the support and the infrastructure of systems and operations for you to make more money and be regulated in that. Because I don't want you to hit a high milestone and then drop down and be like, oh, I've got to follow my vibration process to make more money again. No, it's not about that. It's about integrating the masculine and the feminine dynamics into your business to create sustainable growth, long-term growth. So no matter what state you're in, your business still makes money. And that is the beauty, the chef's kiss that I want you to take away from today's podcast, is detaching from, okay, having to be in this certain vibration and actually learning how to regulate your nervous system as the woman who just makes that money in her business. And I teach you how specifically and map out your business processes inside my coaching containers. If you want to move into that proximity and fully claim that identity for yourself, then I would love to invite you into working with me inside my container, depending on where you are in your journey. So if this is speaking to you and you're like, oh my God, this feels so right in my soul, then babe, welcome. I would love to have a chat with you to see where you are in your journey and how we can support you here at Kenny the Creator, and how we can really help you regulate yourself as the woman that you are becoming, so you can time collapse into achieving that in your business. So if that is feeling good for you, I'm going to drop in the show notes below how we can work together, and you can look at my coaching masterminds and my coaching containers to see what aligns to you. And you'll know by now if this is something that you need to implement into your business. You'll know that this is a space that you're being called forward into. Something that I love doing with my clients is actually allowing them to tap into their full potential and teaching them how to regulate themselves at that level. So not only do we hit those milestones in your business, but we actually sustain it and scale it as well. So my beautiful babe, I hope you got so much juice from this episode, and I'm here to just really break the ties. I said 2026 is the year that I go loud. So here it is, dropping the third episode of 2026. Some truth bombs. We're breaking the mold. We're breaking away. Okay. You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And please remember, if you love this and you need someone to listen to it and you'd be like, babe, who is the person in your mind right now? Send this episode to them, because the more people that we can get support, the more we can continue to create these episodes, because I don't know if you're listening to this unless you tag me, unless you follow. So please follow. I know it's annoying, but it really, really helps us here. So thank you. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. Bye.